How's the weather there?
It's completely black, completely dark. It's not even 6:30 in the morning here. I don't even know why I agreed to do something this early, but just to try and fit in with the dude. You do what you do.
Yeah, you do.
This dude abides.
Yeah, the dude abides.
It does indeed. And I've been doing a lot of abiding lately.
We all have.
I don't know where he's got to. I haven't got a clue where he's got to. I mean, it could of course be that it's a full moon over there in California, and you know what happens on a full moon? Well, he's a werewolf, you see, so he'll be out prowling the streets, for victims, and you can hear him. You can hear him from miles away. He goes, "Ow!" But he's not as good at it as me, of course. I mean, as you can see, I do apologise. I haven't had a chance to do my my hair as well as I would normally. It's normally a lot tidier than this, but it's just one of these unruly things, I just can't get it to settle down at all.
No, you got the Sir Paul mop going.
It's actually part of an Elton John kit. I've even got the glasses, which I've lent to a pupil of mine who's already got a big mop of hair, but he likes the starry glasses. Enough of that thing. Right, that's better.
I'm a huge fan of Elton's first 3 albums. How would you rate his musicianship? He always surrounded himself with the best of the best. We were mentioning this a couple of nights ago. That town that Mick Ronson's from, and 3 or 4 people of Elton John's band, including Mick Ronson, are all from right around Yorkshire.
Yeah, I mean, no, Elton John are very, very good. Have you ever seen any of the live shows he does where he gets people to, because he's got that guy Bernie Taupin that does the lyrics. Sorry, he does the music.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday, dear Paul from Scotland. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, it is my birthday. As I found out when I got this arrived. When I got home from work, I found this on the table.
Ah, there you go.
And you can see that.
Daughters?
For my daughters.
The girls?
Yeah. Oh, that's classic. That's classic.
One of my favourite parents. Well, they've only got 2, so I thought that was quite cool. They've got a wicked sense of humour.
I thought it was funny, yeah.
So that was a good idea of Travis's to go live before you joined us, dude. Put the panic on. No, I should explain that I did have this niggling feeling before I went to bed. I thought maybe I should go down, switch the computer on, get it all set up, so it's just a case of going down, click the button, like leaving it for 6 hours. But I thought, well, no, I'll run the risk, and of course, in setting it up, it got everywhere as far as going to the Google Hangouts, and then it just stalled, and it wouldn't do anything.
Oh, jeez.
So then I had to switch it off, start it all over again. And the biggest problem was I got all these messages coming along at the bottom of the screen. Like it's saying about 19 messages there that I haven't responded to yet. So. Anyway.
I wish I could set them ahead like that, really, myself. But it's just like I never know when I'm gonna get home from work. Back when I was first doing lives, I actually did that one day. I set one up for the day after, for the next day and set a time for it and everything. And at the time that it was supposed to start, I was like literally just getting on the freeway to go home.
Yeah.
And that's like at least an hour. And so I'm getting people are messaging me, hey, we're all waiting in the line. I'm like, dude, I'm on my way. I'm hurrying, and ended up being super late for it. Everybody was pretty cool about it, but yeah, it was.
It's not easy, is it? Because you only need a little technical difficulty, and then all your best plans all lead to waste, aren't they? You know?
Yeah.
Never mind. Do you want to enlighten us about this? This other that thing you sent me about Bobby Dassey.
Oh yeah, I was talking about that on my live. It turns out, folks, Paul isn't. At least he's not claiming it. So
nothing to do with me.
Yeah, because it's funny if you go and do it, if you search Bobby Dassey and then you go and click on the picture of me, it ultimately leads to your homepage.
Right. Well, we're obviously considered a danger by some people. Someone.
I got that. I mean, I was thinking maybe it's Google's algorithm or something in it. You know, like one of my videos about Bobby Dassey, like, you know, something like that, whatever. So it somehow made the connection like inappropriately or improperly.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes when you a little bit like your Alexa, ask Alexa who killed Teresa Halbach, and you did a video about
that. I'm sorry, say that again. I was reading.
You did a video about if you still to this day, if you ask Alexa who killed Teresa Halbach,
oh yes,
she then tells you all about Stephen Avery and
not being released.
About being released, yes.
Yeah, I think she said he's released, or wild, but
yeah. But yeah, it's good that. Well, I mean, I'd like to think that it is somebody that feels that we're somehow some sort of threat to them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I sent a couple of emails to Mark Wiegert. I haven't had any reply yet.
Don't hold your breath.
No, I sent one because I did a tweet.
I know.
In which I said, well, you know, who's ultimately to blame for the bones being handed over? And did you see the response I got from Jerry Buting?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just saw that. It was when I was
so it was you know, who's ultimately to blame? Is it Mark Wiegert, Norm Garn, Tom Fallon, or someone else? And Jerry,
all of the above.
It's all of the above, you know.
Right.
But obviously, check with our legal experts, and what answer do we get?
Wiegert.
Why?
Well, he's in charge of the evidence.
He's the head of law enforcement that actually, well, that's right, handed them over. So he's responsible, therefore, for telling Stephen Avery and his attorneys that this is what we want to do. We've got this evidence. We want to hand it back. I mean, you know, in a normal circumstance, fine. Mm-hmm. But if Stephen Avery's still waiting on, Stephen Avery certainly wouldn't have agreed to handing it back. And I noticed how you got that tweet from Zelda to say that, well, you know, they have no proof of informing either Steve or his attorney. So therefore, ultimately, who's to blame? Mark Wiegert.
Yeah,
so I did.
No matter what biological evidence was disposed of, no matter what it was, and you know, and that's violation of the statute. So I mean, that's just, I mean, no matter what, even if there's one or two bones still there, whatever it is, I mean, still, the few pieces that left violate the statute. So I mean,
yeah. So I put like actually, I've sent a couple of emails to Mark, and unfortunately, not Mark Hodden, Mark Wiegert, unfortunately, hasn't replied yet. But I'll just read them out to you. I put, "Good morning, Mark. Enclosed screenshot of Kathleen Zellner's latest tweet. Do you still want to stand behind everything done in the case? Be careful that your superiors don't try and make you the scapegoat. Was it your responsibility to let Steve know? So I sent that and the screenshot. And then, so I followed that up with, oh dear, Mark, I've just had confirmation from a couple of our honest legal experts that it was your responsibility to notify Steve and his attorney. Don't get too comfortable in your new office. You won't be there much longer. I'm yet to get a reply. I've probably sent him. Well, at one time I was carbon copying everything I sent to Herman. I was sending to Regat as well, you know. But of course, I can't send anything to Robert anymore because unfortunately he's retired. So I should find out what Dan Hartwig's email is and send him a few emails, you know, just to keep them company. I'm sure that Robert used to come in the morning and look forward to opening my emails. I'm sure he did. Yeah. Well, because,
wonder if there's anything from the Mad Scotsman.
Well, the thing is, they always say thank you for your concern, and I always said to Robert, you know, if you want me to stop sending you emails, all you have to do is say so, and I would respect that, because people were saying, oh, you know, you shouldn't be inserting yourself like this, you shouldn't be, getting involved like this, and I'm like, well, why not? They're quite happy to chat if as long as they're happy to chat, and as long as they are. You know, as long as I'm being respectful, reasonably respectful, you know what I mean. then I didn't see the problem in that. And as it happened, you know, sending something to Mark Wiegand, it provoked a response from him, which is actually it's 2 years later. We're now it's one of those gifts that keeps giving, isn't it? You know, it's one of these things that you think, well, that's really good. You know,
as their deeds continue to bite them in the ass. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You know, here's a question for you though, and this is probably more of a legal thing. So, hi, Travis.
Hey, Lisa Filion says you should send Mark Williams an email and see if he accidentally sends you an email for Tom Fallon.
I will try and find his. Do you know what? When I first started, I was emailing everybody. I emailed the city police department, the guy Nick Reamer, the head of the police department, saying to him, "Look, could you please go around to the sheriff's department and arrest Lincoln Colburn and anybody else involved in the framing of Stephen Avery and do us all a favour?" To which he replied back, "I don't actually have authority over the sheriff's department." Anyway, no. My question was more a case of this issue of the bones. Obviously, Tom Fallon has been misleading Kathleen Zellner since Kathleen Zellner first started on the case.
Oh yeah, his feigning ignorance is ridiculous.
Yeah. So obviously, ultimately, what's been really good is that Kathleen Zellner has been given notification that you do realise that the bones aren't in the state's possession, and then she's had that piece of information tucked away. She's gone to Tom Fallon and said, right, let's talk about these bones that I want tested. And he said, well, you know, and sort of procrastinated, never actually admitted to the fact that they've not got them.
Right.
My question would be is that eventually, of course, this would all have had to come out. But how different would it have been had Kathleen Zellner not known anything about the bones missing, and then all of a sudden the state say, well, we're really sorry, we don't have them anymore because they were handed over? Would that change? In other words, have the state dug themselves into a bigger hole by pretending that they had them when Kathleen Zellner knew that she didn't?
Right. Well, I mean, it all comes down to when did Zellner know? You know, when did she know? I mean, yeah, I don't know exactly. It would seem like she did not get the full record from Stephen's prior appellate attorneys. And it would seem like she was figuring some of this out in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So back when she was making the deals with Fallon, I think she figured he still had them.
Yeah.
The brief for testing filed December 17th.
Right.
And then Erekose and I got on and analyzed it the 18th. That's one of the issues we brought up is it's not really making sense. Her motion, a vast majority of the bones that she wanted to test with the new rapid DNA system were presumably already returned to the Halbach family, and we couldn't figure that part out. And then the next motion came with a affidavit from Haglopian. I believe that's how you pronounce her name.
Hagopian, I think. Or
yeah, Hagopian. One of his original appellate attorneys said, "Hey, we had no idea. We didn't get any notification. This is the last. These 2 pages that talked about the return of the bones weren't in there." And so I think she laid that out pretty well in her original motion, that she found out sometime between the date that they did that motion, which was decided December 20th, and then this new motion, she comes right out and says it. I think she's laid it out very well that she didn't know until very recently. Mentioned the anonymous person said, "Hey, are you aware the bones look like they've been returned according to 1114 and 1115 in queso?" And then they got the additional 300 records. And so, but you do bring up an interesting legal point. So you have 2 state prosecutors and an evidence technician, Hawkins, and they're separating these bones with a copy of Eisenberg's report in their hand. I agree. The primary responsibility for those particular pieces of evidence are going to be on the sheriff's department and ultimately the sheriff. But the DA's office and the state laboratory are also covered by that statute. So in essence, what you have is a conspiracy of at least 3 people to violate the statute. So I agree, the ultimate authority, but typically when you have lawyers involved that are assisting with the decision, and if you read queso 1114 and 15, the description of what they're doing, and the sheriff's office they wrote that, if you're reading between the lines, that they were making the ultimate decision as to what specific bones were to be released. But I agree, the sheriff's office is making the initial general decision to return what they can.
So do you think then that you've just raised another question in my mind as to whose idea would it have been to hand the bones back? And surely it would be Wiegert, because he would have known the Holbach family quite personally, living in Calumet, the Holbach family living in Calumet. Surely he would have been the one that was sort of pushing for, come on, let's get this stuff back to the Holbachs. In a normal situation, everybody would approve of that. Don't keep the family waiting. Let them have this bit of closure. But under the circumstances that they were handed back, right in the middle of Steve rating on his decision from the Supreme Court, and the fact that they must have known perfectly well that Steve would have objected to it, but they just run that risk. They just played sort of loose and free, if you want, with the evidence, and just thought, oh, to hell with this. We're in charge. There's nothing that can happen. You know, making a murderer was never, ever in their deepest, darkest nightmare, was it?
Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't see it coming at that point, I believe. No. Mm-hmm.
You okay, dude? You look very chilled there.
3 years before, I don't know if Erekose has thoughts on it, but you know, when we were talking about this back in December, when we first discovered it, we were talking a lot of hypotheticals. You know, who was what? You know, did the family make the overtures? Did they make the overtures to Schimmel, the AG? You know, they would have had liaisons, specific liaisons from the AG's office to work with that family, to make arrangements for them to go to the oral arguments in Chicago for the Seventh Circuit. You saw them showing up there. You know, they have a team of what they call victim witness coordinators that serve as liaisons and advocates for the victim's family. And I suspect the request got made at some point, hey, when can we get our daughter's remains back? And then that got up to Schimmel, and then Schimmel told the people that worked directly for him, the special who is officially with the AG's office, the prosecutor. Was that that would have been?
Well, the DOJ is essentially their a force. You know, they're
right. But wasn't Gone was with the AG's office. Kratz was an elected DA in Calumet. And then Fallon was with who?
He was the assistant attorney general then.
Yeah, so I think there was a memo from Schimmel saying, "Hey, I don't want this to turn political and get these people to get ugly. Do what you need to do to get them back the bones," but totally ignoring the fact that there's, you know, a preservation statute.
Yeah,
and you know, they could have sent the letters saying, "Hey, we're going to return these bones to the family. We don't think they have any," and they could lay out why they're going to return. And if there's no objection, nobody could have complained. But you know, there had to be some mechanism, some family member representative. You know, but there's still
instigating it or prompting it.
Yeah, you know, and you know, they're signed out to Wiegert, but you know, there's no paperwork to the funeral home. You know, I presume they've been returned to the family, but that's a few of the things that would have to be ironed out in an evidentiary hearing. You know, did you in fact deliver the bones to the Whiting funeral home? And then, and I think they probably had to do that because of the nature. You know, there were some personal items that were just signed. You know, the vibrator, the maroon vibrator, for, you know, God's sakes of all things, her journals were returned to Teresa's mother, and she signed for them individually. And a pair of eyeglasses. But the bones, there's some state laws and regulations about cremains have to go to a licensed funeral home. And so I think that's why it went that route rather than directly to Teresa's mother, like the other physical items that were returned were. But no, there's many questions about what ended up getting to the Whiting Funeral Home, if it even did, and then where they went from there. And, you know, the only way that, that stuff can get sorted out is a evidentiary hearing. Right. But I don't know. My total speculation is that this thing went from the top down. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Erekose? Or if it was more local, somebody called up Pagel because they knew him, or they're cousins, or...
You know, I mean, I agree with you. It's probably somebody did probably reach out or do something to instigate it. I don't know. And it could have been through Poggle. I know Pam Sturm, actually, there's a picture of her and Poggle together at like a family reunion, because they're like connected through family and stuff. So, you know, it's possible. There's so many connections with everybody in that area. It's definitely possible. Certainly.
Probably a bit like
I wanted to say hello, Stacy. How you doing? And I see how you are. You make Paul's live, but not mine. Anyways, go ahead.
Is Stacy watching? Is he?
He's in the chat.
He was gonna come and play Happy Birthday.
I try and get him in.
Paul wants you to join the call, dude.
I'm just wondering if I've got his. Oh, I got it. I'd have to.
Right on, dude. I didn't see you though.
I'll have to look him up and see. Only the student. Yeah, I see a comment from Stacey, but
yeah, he wasn't ready for it. He says now he feels on the spot.
Oh yeah.
Well, Stacey, just send us a note of your Gmail, and we can get you fired in as well. Because I tell you what, I think I'd rather hear you sing "Happy Birthday" to me than that dude.
I thought we did a really good rendition.
You did very well. That's
Havering Scotsman.
That video I did of you singing. The response to that has been absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But then
I told everybody tonight on my live how you like to piss on my rug.
Micturate.
And man,
I did use the word micturate.
That rug made the room.
Yeah,
it tied the room together, dude.
It tied it together,
man.
Oh dear. But here,
just like none. Oh, anyway.
You know, if anybody was wanting to forge a birth certificate, you know, it's actually quite easy to do.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, that's when we had that analyzed.
Yeah. Yes.
We had it analyzed.
Yes.
It's a definite fraud.
Yes. What do you mean, Erekoses is not mine, not me.
Oh no, I thought that was the one for
Erekose.
I thought that was the one for Captain
Kratz. No, not me. Erekose is. That's Erekose. No, not me.
I wouldn't do anything like that. There's no way I would hate her. Well, you know, I'm gonna be the one that's havering to you.
I love it. Lisa B said, "No, you." That's my favorite part when Nina says,
"No, it's you. It's you. It's you. It's you."
Yeah.
I gotta play it now.
I mean,
so do you have an accordion down there sitting next to you?
I don't at the moment, and I wouldn't play it just yet because it's not even 7 a.m, and there's a family next door that's got 2 young kids and everything. So, but I will do that. I will do that sometime. You know, I will do. Might even be later on today. I'll do a re-video of some playing. And certainly when I used to start my videos for a long time, I used to start off with a tune, didn't I, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to start off.
You'd play a little bit.
There's videos of me playing on.
Then he started doing this.
Eunice, what does to haver mean? To talk a lot of nonsense.
To talk a load of shit.
Yeah.
Look, to talk a load of crap. Where's the control panel?
You mean, not me. No.
No, it's you. No, it's you.
No,
I'm getting quicker. I'm getting quicker. I've discovered there's this control room panel thing. You see, so all I need to do is just click on the video and the mic of everybody. I mean, watch this, everybody. Watch this. I'm back again.
He's mad with power. See, it happens to everybody.
Yeah. And the trouble with power is that it then corrupts, doesn't it?
No.
When you have too much power and you think you can get away with anything.
Yeah.
That is the big problem here, isn't it? Who polices the police? You know, when you've got all this going on. Sorry?
So who watches the Watchers?
Yeah, you've got all this going on in Wisconsin. Well, what are people supposed to do about it? When Penny Bernstein realized back in 1985, hold on a sec, I've pinpointed the wrong person. She went to the sheriff's department and said to Tom Kasurik, look, I think we've got the wrong guy here because of the phone call, because of other people saying you do realize about this Gregory Allen fellow. But what could she do about it? She went to the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department says, we're in control. You can't. It's not like you can call the A team, is it?
Right.
So what can you do about it? All you can do is hope and pray that someday, two filmmakers will actually do something about it and actually get the ball rolling and make a documentary that is it makes me laugh that we've still got on one of my tweets we've got a guy called Joe that's
Joe.
clearly
I was talking about Joe on my live too.
I mean, I thought dinosaurs were extinct, but there's still a few of them left,
The stuff coming out of his mouth is just like, dude, what? Well, not his mouth, but whatever.
Clearly some member of law enforcement or some connection to...
That's what everybody believes, yeah.
Yeah. A bit like, I think it was you that mentioned that, who was it that sent Judge Superwitch the flowers?
That was Dennis Vogel's cousin.
A cousin. Mm-hmm. Somebody with clearly a vested interest in it, but that didn't realize that.
Yeah. How many people send flowers to judges? Right. How many people?
More to the point, how many people send flowers to attorneys like Travis? Travis, you got any flowers recently?
I have in the past, but from clients.
Well,
appropriate stuff, gifts and flowers, but from direct clients, not prosecutors or judges. Pretty weird. There's 3 or 4 cases that are recent. There's actually one going on right now where they're in the middle of disciplining a 30-year DA in Wisconsin for concealing serious Brady until the middle of the trial. He had this information, clearly helpful to the defense, didn't turn it over until the middle of the trial. Then he lied about its significance, and so the judge didn't declare a mistrial. Well, that's going on right now. There's a case out of Milwaukee. It's just a year old, where a law enforcement official, a younger one, admitted to planting an ID and a bullet. A photo ID and a bullet in the backpack of a young man to tie him to a murder. Once this motion gets resolved, we're going to have another lull for a while. Could have a long lull if it's going to go for an evidentiary hearing, because they'll have to do all the scheduling and whatnot. But there's 3 or 4 real egregious cases that are contemporary that I'd like all of us to look at and briefly go through here and there and look at the similarities, because what prompted me to bring this up is, you say, who's watching the watchers? And it's supposed to be the courts,
right?
But if the courts have blinders or just take a DA on their word, oh, this wasn't anything major. And so now you've got things finally swirling around in the right direction. You've got this decision, Wierski, where they've dumped Brady on its head and gotten rid of the exclusive control of the state requirement and gotten rid of the due diligence of the defense attorney requirement in order to get Brady on. So you've got a court that's flipped dramatically on what you have to show. You've got a case right now where they're getting ready to disbar. It's a question of the state bar commission wanted him suspended for a year. Somebody else from the state bar wanted a 3-month suspension. Just kind of the same thing with Kratz. It's been argued to the court. There's a lot of interesting things going on that don't affect Stephen directly, but peripherally, in terms of being able to read tea leaves, we're getting a lot more tea leaves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a question. You've just, it's great having these chats because sometimes I go off on a tangent. Not very often, by the way, dude, but occasionally I do.
Not very often, huh?
Mm-hmm. I've got, not just for you guys, but for anybody out there that's listening. Has anyone actually read Ken Kratz's book?
I've listened to part of it.
And you must have been like pulling your hair out.
I listened. I think I got up to like chapter 4.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's just a lot of stuff. It's just him perpetuating the same lies he's been telling. I think he actually does try to clean up the mess he created with sweat DNA in there, but.
Well, I would like to just take this opportunity of pointing out that in one of the reviews that I read out this morning, one of them was from a guy, DB Cooper, that actually got in touch. So thank you very much, Mr. Cooper, because that was. Well, I thought all of those reviews are excellent, and the sweaty, squeaky deviant one I thought was hilarious. But apparently, again, I've not read the book, but apparently what he does is he in effect says the same things like half a dozen times in the book. So he really does pad the book out. Have you come across any of that, dude?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I didn't. No, not in chapter 4. I didn't. Not really. I didn't notice it yet, anyway. But no, what did jump off the page at me is he thinks this is like creative writing class. Yeah. Like talks about him sitting down for a meeting with Mark Wiegert and talking about his smart goatee and his like he's just using all these superfluous like adjectives to talk about sitting down with Mark Wiegert. It's like, dude, this isn't a romance novel or like an adventure novel or some kind of fiction. This is a I mean, it's just weird to me. Like to hear him, I don't know, going into so much like create, I don't know, I don't know, not creative detail, but it struck me he was like trying to use his creative writing skills, which doesn't surprise me. Because,
I've read a bit of testimony, and it might have even been on video, in fact, where I think it was the testimony in trial when Karen Holbach is called to the stand, and Ken Kratz immediately starts going on about the fact that, you know, we've done this and I've done this and I've done that for you and I've done that. And, you know, and Dean Strand stands up and says, objection, this has got nothing to do with Ken Kratz. But Ken Kratz was quite happy to talk about Ken Kratz. And on that occasion, Willis actually saw sense and said, yes, objection sustained. You know, stop talking about yourself. This isn't about him wrapping himself up with the Holbachs, is it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you ever see that bit?
I don't recall, actually.
Oh, there's so many pages of it, isn't there? You know, I mean.
Oh yeah.
I find
there's so much stuff I've read that I kind of have forgotten. You know what I mean? In 3 years.
Dr. Pepper. It's the Dr. Pepper. It does it. Has that effect on you?
Well, you know.
Do you know what I got on Sunday, Travis? I got a very nice present from one of my pupils who is now at the age where he's now sort of left school and is working full time. So piano has basically come to an end because he's busy driving, and unless he gets the occasional chance to come and have a lesson. I got a nice bottle of Ardmore. Have you heard of the Ardmore?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they gave me this really nice bottle of Ardmore. So yeah, sometimes I do benefit from the odd gift, you know. But nobody's ever sent me flowers, I must admit. But
that's a really nice gift.
Yes. Yeah. No, I was very pleased. In fact, one of them I got at a gig once. A guy at the end of the gig came up and gave me a bottle of Glen Scotia, which is a Campbelltown whiskey. And that's that stuff which, you know, like the normal whiskey is 40% alcohol. You get these super duper whiskies that are up in the 47s, nearly 50% alcohol. That's the sort you like, isn't it, dude?
I don't. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm not. I don't just look for the thing with the most alcohol content in it. I did in my early 20s, but not necessarily today.
So, what's the strongest beer that they have over there in America?
Well, it'd be Belgian style.
Wow, yes, yeah, like a Duval.
There's I don't know. The malt liquors are all like up in the high 8 to 9% range. Generally, like the Old E and stuff, I think is up around there.
Sorry?
Old English 500, 800, Old English 800.
Yeah, but they're fortified. You know, they're malt liquors. They're
that's what I said. Malt liquor.
But what's that brand of Belgian ale that are really made by the monks to this day? The Chamel, CHA. Those are 14%.
Oh wow!
But Belgian style.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen those. So
yeah.
I know they make like those like steel reserves. It's like half energy drink, half beer, and they get those are I think up around 7 or 8%.
Oh,
Can you read that?
Oh, 62, nearly 63%. Is that moonshine?
That's Kentucky bourbon.
All right, excellent.
And it varies
because that hide in the hills in that show on History Channel. No, I'm just kidding.
And does that double as paint stripper? So, in actual fact, that's
sinuses too. Anyway,
that's interesting. You mentioned something because, of course, Steve Drizzen put a tweet out, didn't he, about the fact that in most other countries, if Wiegert and Fassbender had behaved with Brendan, done the interview with Brendan that they did, they would be out of a job. And he re-quoted that thing, and people were saying, and don't forget, he put and I forgot, Netherlands. Netherlands is the same as Holland, and I'm thinking, well, in actual fact, I think you find in most of Europe that that would be the case, and certainly in Belgium. Certainly in Belgium. I mean, they're the Benelux countries of Belgium, Holland, and Netherlands. They're all under this Benelux, as they call them. They would all be the same. And then you've got your your Germanys and stuff. So I actually replied with a comment that you'd actually had people like your videos about Brendan from, is it 50 different countries?
The time when we looked, I don't know, it was like, what was it? I think it was like 47 or I don't know.
Including of all places, Morocco. Who on earth in Morocco has watched one of your videos?
Somebody who watched Making a Murderer, I guess.
No, but who could possibly have liked your video from Morocco?
I don't know.
Dude, where was I?
Some havering Moroccan.
Dude, where was I in the summer?
Oh, I see. Oh, is that what you're getting at?
Well,
I guess I was right then. It was a havering Moroccan.
But no, I mean the rundown of countries. I mean, basically, you've got likes from every single continent. Yeah,
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Here goes the Dr. Pepper. Do you know, I'd love it if one day somebody was to sneak in just before you're about to go live and give that bottle a good shake. And when you open it,
oh God, it's no fun, dude. No fun.
Well, I've had that a couple of times when I've opened a can of beer and it's the one that I've dropped and I've forgotten to open it. And, it goes everywhere, doesn't it?
Yes, it's very annoying.
Yeah, and what's this thing I've seen the Aussies do it, whereby they like puncture a hole at the bottom of the can and then open the top of the can and then you've got to drink it out the bottom.
Oh, with beer? Yeah, right. They'll punch a hole in the bottom of the can and then cover it and then put their mouth on it and open the beer. And as you open it, it shotguns the beer like into your mouth, basically. It shoots into your mouth. It's like allows you to like down the beer quickly or whatever.
Yeah. Is that an Aussie
I've never
thing?
done it, but I've seen people do it.
It must be an Aussie thing, mustn't it?
Must be.
It must be.
Then they follow up with crushing it on their forehead, right? Like
this. Hold on a second. This is
Australian for beer, mate. Anyway,
this is it. You know a lot more about it than I thought. You sure you haven't done this yourself?
I think that last bit I was havering a little.
I think that's done on every college campus in the U.S. Except probably Oral Roberts and Liberty University. But other than those two, shotgunning is a rite of passage.
Yeah, or beer bong. Beer bong's another
cannonball. Right back at you, cannonball.
My brother and his friends, man, they got pretty ingenious about it. Went down to Home Depot, got a big 1-inch valve fitting, got the clear hose that had the little, netting through it or whatever to make it a little more, durable. Big funnel at the top. You could pour three 12-ounce cans into it. It was like, yeah. And then it had a little lever on it, on the little fitting, so you could just turn the lever and it would go.
You've never seen Dr. Ted, Father Ted, have you?
No.
It's an Irish comedy, Father Ted.
Oh, I think you sent me an episode of it once that I looked at.
Yeah. And you've got the
so you got to get yourself one of these.
What is that? Chivas Regal? Oh, there you go.
Oh, the boot.
Oh, the Heineken boot.
Stiefel.
Yeah.
German Stiefel, and
makes me want to go to the Yard House. That's a 6-pack. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go to the Yard House. You ever been to a Yard House, Trav? You have Yard House?
Yes. Yes, yes, we got a few in Austin.
Oh man, those are fun.
Here in quite a few pubs in certainly in the UK, we have what's known as the yard of ale, which is a big glass. It's a yard long with a big bulb at the end, you know.
Exactly, that's what these are. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it takes
a big ball at the bottom, and then a slender tube, and then it opens up kind of a funnel at the top.
That's right, and you've got to down that in one.
No, well,
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah, no. If you do it, then then I think the tradition is that you get that pint for free, or those 3 pints for free.
Right.
Which is pretty good going, you know.
Hey, you know.
Anyway, dude, I think you're looking a bit tired, and I feel that Travis is well past midnight. In fact, probably well past 1 o'clock. So. Thank you very much, not only to you for singing to me so beautifully, and to everybody that's sent nice messages of birthday wishes. I will not speculate as to how old I am, nearly 60, but never mind.
Not as old as Mark, though.
Sorry?
Not as old as Marky.
No. I mean, he's doing well, isn't he?
Let's see where this one's from.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. There's the yard of ale.
Well, it's not quite a yard, but
that's a half a yard. That looks like a half a yard.
Oh, this is Heineken too.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. That's a Heineken. My girl likes Heineken.
Whose Yamaha piano was that?
Yamaha piano.
In your photo. You're holding the egg.
Reese's eggs?
Somebody was playing piano on a video that...
Oh, sorry, one of my videos. Yes. The young lad, he's getting on really well. He's preparing to do his grade 2 very shortly, but he's already rapping through the grade 3 pieces without any trouble whatsoever. And his party piece, I'm hoping I'm going to get him to record it sometime soon, is called Le Cuckoo by Louis-Claude Dacan, which I could actually let you hear that.
Now, is that your piano or a piano at the Academy or his piano?
It's actually at his house. Yeah, it's his piano. He started off on a very little keyboard. He then progressed on to a one that I was able to source for him, which was a sort of 6.5 octave Yamaha, which was fine, but they really wanted a piano for him, so they got him a piano, and he's absolutely loving it. He's just right from the word go. When I first started, as I've often said about pupils, some pupils will get there because of what I tell them, but some people seem to get there in spite of what I tell them. You know, it's almost like they'll deliberately do the opposite to what I've told them. But you get some of these people, and they just take in. You know, they really are a sponge. They take in everything that you tell them. And often they'll sort of recite back to you years later things that you mentioned way back then.
Right.
But he's just one that's really taken it in. So yeah, right. I mean, he's working. I'll give you a quick blast of this. Have a listen. This isn't the young lad playing it, but it's certainly the actual tune.
Wow.
So I mean, he's rattling through that at the moment, and as I say, I want him to record that because some of the other stuff that he's doing. I mean, he can do like some all the way through the Für Elise, which is the Beethoven Für Elise for Lisa, basically Für Elise. And I'm trying to also encourage him to start doing some more Chopin, but at the moment we're focusing on getting through the through the grades. There was one day I went along and he downloaded a load of the piano music from Minecraft. Have you heard of Minecraft?
The game?
Have you heard
I've
of it?
heard of it.
Yeah.
Never played it. Don't know much about it. But I've
I
heard of it.
like how you immediately say never played it, as if before he gets me on that one.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what you're planning to get. I know nothing about the game, really. I just know that it's a game and it was popular.
It was very popular. I think it still is with some people, but there's some background music, incidental music to that. And a lot of the kids, they just love if they can do anything that's sort of game related. And you know, it's just another tool for getting them to, you know, to focus on learning a piece of music, which is excellent.
Yeah. Like watching kids learning how to play like you know regular music tunes and stuff like on the ocarina. I don't know if you know what that is from Zelda. But there's a Zelda game where Link plays a thing called the ocarina. It's just like a little flute. It's like a little flute. And so kids actually went and made replicas of this flute and would actually try to play songs on it and use it to play. So it was funny. It's a really simple instrument. It has like 4 holes and
that's right. It looks like an oyster, a little oyster with 4 holes, and you blow in the end. An ocarina, it is a well-known, genuine music.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny, dude, because it's funny to watch the kids. They were modeling it on what they saw in the video game. They were like making them out of clay, making them out of various things, and then you know learning how to play tunes on them. It was fun. It was funny to watch, dude. It was cool.
Well, I'll tell you what is also very, very, very pleasing, very encouraging for me is that there's been 1 or 2 pupils that have said that yes, they've watched Making a Murderer, you know, and they're sort of like in sort of teenage years, and then they're questioning, you know, what's going on here? How on earth could this all happen? Which leads me to one final question, which suddenly sprang to my little havering brain here. Does this deception by Garn, Fallon, Uyghur, etc. Does this take us into the realms of the FBI looking at it? Does this become federal?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I mean, what does it take to get the federal government involved or the FBI involved or whatever? I mean, at this point, that isn't there already. I don't know.
Typically,
no smoking gun, I guess.
Well, if there's some sort of bribery, money going on, they'll get involved.
Right.
And so makes it very, very difficult. The FBI is pretty much concentrating on terrorism and those sorts of things, and that's their primary focus. And they let the states handle internal corruption, but those are their 2 main areas are homeland security, anti-terrorism, and corruption. So they like going after big politicians, but you really do need some sort of a smoking gun, a real clear quid pro quo.
Right. So Lisa B thinks you should play Yankee Doodle on your keyboard before we go.
Well, it's a Yankee Doodle came to town riding on a pony. He stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, there's that one. Yeah.
That one. She's saying for fun and for your American friends, you should play Yankee Doodle on it.
Now,
I guess because she can see it. So I mean,
yeah. Is there not something about you've got in America? You've got the Yankee Doodle was in effect the signature tune of the North, and then you've got what was the Dixie? The tune of the South. And I remember a program I heard. One of the most famous accordionists is a Danish accordiονist called Mogens Ellegaard, who sadly is no longer with us. But he in this radio program was talking about the fact that he was playing in like a bar, a nightclub somewhere in America, and he had this customer came in every day and wanted Yankee Doodle played, but this other customer came along and wanted Dixie played, and both of them would sort of take umbrage if the other tune got played first. So what he did was on his accordion, because he'd got buttons on the right hand, but he'd also got a load of buttons on the left hand, he learned how to play the two tunes simultaneously, so that neither of them were offended. Which is bloody amazing, you know, to be able to do that.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
two tunes at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be wild.
That takes some doing, but no, Mogan's Elegard was always a favorite of mine, along with the there's a Chicago accordionist called Art Van Dam, jazz accordionist, and what I might be playing for you later on will be a piece by Charles Magnanti. So I'll hopefully do that for you, Travis. Okay.
Good.
Listen, I'm going to say cheerio. Thanks very much for the chat. It's been absolutely brilliant, and we must. Oh, that was the final thing I was going to say. I'd share with everybody. I know a lot of people were very, very pleased that we've had a couple of chats with Chad. Chad sent me a message to say, I love it. Kathleen Zellner is finally looking beyond Avery Road. In other words, you know,
in other words, she doesn't believe Fallon's an honest guy anymore. At least
she's realizing that, it would seem, wouldn't it?
Right.
Anyway, Travis is falling asleep, and I don't blame him because poor fellow. He's
so let's take.
I just wanted to be here to wish you a happy birthday.
Well, thanks, Travis.
And I'm glad I got to do it.
Yeah, you play us out, dude.
All right, ready? Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
2 years since M.A.M. Now here I go again to confine innocent men in a 10 by 10.
That's it, you wet those tonsils.
Oh, now the man deserves. But fear breeds silence and manner to walk. You don't say nothing cause you know you're cops. But someone knows something, yet everyone plays ball. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. Everything about the case was suspicious. I hope the Biden teeth of justice is so vicious. For those who bred the lie, they temporarily preserve. From time into typos to Brendan's so-called confession, to the fact that Peterson was out of town when she went missing. How can we forget Andy said William Henry Cole? I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. So much planted evidence now anyone can see. The magic bullet and blood in the RAV. And even evidence that defies gravity. The key that turned up 7 searches later with none of her DNA at all. Let's brain fingerprint them all. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. Who's pulling strings? I want to know that top rank. For those who pay attention, all the on-bank stank. And those that are smiling, they always knew who would take the fall. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all.
You got another one ready?
If you want, sure.
I can get one. I can get one on my list.
I got the acoustic playlist up. So how about something going on?
You will sacrifice your kid for bread. There's something going on. Freedom is in danger. Agents of the state, they taking children from the manger. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. They needed someone, oh, Jody wouldn't flip. They looked around, saw him quick. Oh, it made so much sense why. Oh, Brendan Dassey, he was Stephen's alibi. There's something going on in Wisconsin that's not kosher. We better stop, let's all take a look closer. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid for Brendan Dassey. That's exactly what they did. They visit him once, they visit him twice. They make him feel so safe. Sandwiches, soda, so nice. No cameras rolling and under no lights. Who knows what went on up in Fox Hill Monday night? There's something going on. Freedom is in danger. Everything about this cake getting stranger and stranger. All we know, they will sacrifice your kid. Oh, Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. March 1st, alone in a room with Bert and Ernie. No parent present and no attorney. 4 hours later, with a touch of the knee, they finally get Brendan to agree. There's something going on. I said there's something going on. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. There's something going on. I said freedom is in danger when the agents of the state
Good night, everybody.
From the major. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. Take Brendan Dassey, oh, that's exactly what they did.
Right, cheerio. Thanks, Travis.
Thanks for having us, friend.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, dude.
Have a good one.
That's all.